Hello everyone and welcome to our new video. In this video, we are going to discuss about the Terraform best practices. This is the part 2. If you haven't gone through our part 1, I would ask you to go through that video first before you start with the part 2. All right, so we have discussed up till point 5. Let's move ahead and see few more best practices that we should be um, using while working on the Terraform in a production environment. So whenever you are working on the Terraform, always make sure that you do not hard code the hard code the configuration that you are putting inside the Terraform uh, TF files, because if you are hard coding, then the then it cannot be reused. Okay, but whenever we are working for within any organization, we have to make sure that the same code gets repeated, can be utilized again and again without actually repeating the same code or creating the files which stores the same code, right? So if you are hard coding the things, then it cannot be reused. You will have to copy that file to another directory structure, then you will have to again change it, which will require more of your efforts. At the same time, it is also pushing the redundant code. And this is not the best practice, and you will not be able to achieve the CI/CD implementation using that. So make sure that you are using the variables, and only these variables should be changed. Now, what additionally you can do is, when you are creating a CI/CD pipeline, make sure that some of these variables are only need to be replaced by the teams. At the same time, these variables can be input from an argument. So you can ask the teams to input the suppose 4 different arguments depending upon their application name, the requirement on the basis of the server, the images like that, and your Terraform configuration is able to pull it's able to create and push and plan the changes through your CI. And then eventually, if you are using the Terraform cloud, you can use the workspace concept to apply the changes and review and apply the changes inside the Terraform workspace. If you don't have the Terraform cloud, then also the Terraform workspaces, you can directly use it to push into the separate environments. At the same time, apply the CD configuration of making the changes. So that way also you can implement the best practices, but make sure you do not hard code the things inside the Terraform configuration. And then you should always try to give the required permission whenever you are working in any cloud, and try to avoid the unnecessary permission. This can be used by using the trace API calls, which is going to provide you the details which the Terraform is going to make, and the permission it requires. So you can generate these API calls, generate a log of it, and eventually go through it. This will help you to gather all the calls which the Terraform is going to make, and these calls are also visible into your cloud trail, as well as you can directly go through the log, sort out the API calls, and then make sure that the IAM is having the required permission. The next important thing that you need to use while writing the Terraform is the formatting of the files into some standard and a readable format, which makes it more easier. And it looks, if you are creating the Terraform modules into the different repositories, that would have the same appearance. And this actually maintains the good visibility, the good writing standards, and the same formatting is everywhere. So anyone can easily go through it. It will more appeal to you. All the code will look alike. It will be easier for you to go through it, because if you do not met the formatting, then some of the files might look very bad. Eventually, the interest of reading them also went out. Now, formatting is something which is good to have, but it is not necessary to have. But then if you use Terraform FMT, which has been created by Terraform itself, this is an excellent tool which can automatically format. So even if you are not following the standards and putting everything in place, the Terraform format is going to format that files and create it in such a way that it becomes more readable, has the same appearance, and it becomes easier for you to go through the multiple files and maintain the integrity of the code that way. The next one is the Terraform linting. So basically this TF lint is a linter checking, and it enforces the best practices. You can combine it with the different plugins which are available, and you can use the .tflint.htl which will be you will be using for the linting and processing the rules and the plugins based checks. Now next is checkoff. Now this is a static code analysis for the Terraform, and it is used for scanning the infrastructure as code files. It has a number of policies through which it can run on your code and provide the checks. You can also write your own custom policies as well. So this is going to help you from the code analysis point of view. It can be a part of your CI/CD process, and when it runs, it automatically performs those checks, and you get a report out of it, which is going to help you even further. Now, so this is somehow what the checkoff looks like, and it basically is checking and providing you some suggestion of what should be, what is passed or what is failed. Like in this example, if you look, it basically ensures that the metadata service variation is not enabled, but since it's enabled, it is showing it as failed. So you can go ahead and take a review of what's happening there and make it more appropriate. This way you can perform some code analysis on what Terraform code you have written. It will help you to implement the better code standards moving further. Because I already covered this, that you should be following all the practices like we follow in the application to maintain the Terraform in the best possible way. Now, another thing that you need to follow whenever you are using the Terraform for provisioning the infrastructure is like a pre-commit hooks. Now, this pre-commit hooks is actually a part of the Git, and they are useful for identifying the small issues like for before you actually push and do the code review. So whenever you try to push anything, this pre-commit hooks are basically called first, and it's going to check your code before you actually push on the things. So here is a simple pre-commit hook on how it looks like. So basically we are the hook is using the FMT validate and the documents. It is checking for the different arguments. It's also implementing the linting, and the pre-commit hook is there, which is checking for some merge conflict and end of the file fixer. So all these things it's basically checking. So you should use this pre-commit hooks. It will come very handy. Now the pre-commit config uses the two different basically repositories. The first one that you are going to use is the Terraform specific, and it would be more generic. You can run the Terraform FNT, Terraform validate, and TF-lint, like we have discussed already. We have discussed this before. Okay, then you can add the main configuration, and after that, once you have added to the staging, you can run the pre-commit manually as well, which is going to hook the scripts which we have already added, and it's going to automatically run while committing the code. So if you follow all these practices, the Terraform would be much more easier to scale. It will be much easier to handle. It has automatic checks in place to prevent the messing up or the changing of the format in which you are writing. It will help you to implement the standardization across your, it's sort of, since you push on these standards, everyone who is contributing to your repositories will also have to follow on these standards. These are some of the standards which are essential, which will help you to maintain a good Terraform implementation while working on it, because it can grow in scale very quickly. That's all for this video. If you have not subscribed to our channel, I will suggest you to subscribe to get these videos directly to your inbox. Thank you everyone for going through this session.